Hello and welcome. Today I will show you how to install a CraftBukkit server. So the first thing you need to do is make a folder for it. So I'm going to put my folder on the C drive. You can put it absolutely anywhere you want. I'm sure you're all familiar with this by now. Alright, once you have your folder, you will need to download the server itself. That is available at dl.bukkit.org. That link will be in the description. If one of these versions works for you, that's great. I always like to go to alternate versions. You can see here that the recommended build, which is generally very bug-free, is 1.5.2. The beta build is at least 1.6.2, but like I said, I always like to go to alternate versions. On this alternate versions page, you can see that there are several development builds, a beta build, and if we kept going, we would see a recommended build, etc., etc., etc. It's really up to personal preference. Beta builds are usually a little less buggy. They're usually have the newer versions, etc. Recommended build is usually older but very, very stable. And development build is bleeding edge, all the bug fixes, but it could have introduced new bugs, be unstable. So it's up to you. For a server with lots and lots of people, I usually wouldn't go any more than a beta. If it's just for your friends, feel free to do a development. I'm going to download the development build here and save it. Okay, when the download completes, we're going to view the file. Do not open it. I repeat, do not open it. Just click there and show in folder. And I'm going to copy that and paste it into the folder we made for Bukkit earlier. Next step is to rename the file. This is important. You need to name it craftbukkit.jar. You may or may not see the .jar. That's called a file extension. It's telling me that it's a Java file. So if you don't see the .jar, just name it craftbukkit. Next, we need to set up what is called a batch file. So to do that, first we need to open up Notepad. And then paste a series of commands in here. I'm getting this from wiki.bukkit.org/setting up a server. It's their instructions for it. They did a pretty good job. We're going to copy this, and then we're going to paste it into our Notepad file. And then this is different than usual. We're going to go to Save As, and then under this Save As type, make sure it says All Files. Then we're going to navigate to wherever the folder was. Mine was under the C drive, Bukkit. And I'm going to name it start.bat. The ending .bat is very important. That's what it has to end in. Then press save. While we're here, I'll go over what some of these things do. Java, of course, Minecraft is programmed in Java, so it's calling the Java program to run it. This 1024M is 1024 megabytes or 1 gigabyte of RAM. And that's the amount of RAM you're giving your server to run. 1024 is about the minimum that it runs well. You can do much, much lower. I've done as low as 215. With plugins, you need a lot more. Without, you need less. Since I have 8 gigs of RAM on this on this computer, I'm going to bump it up to 2048 just to make things run a little smoother. Next, it's calling the file we named earlier. That's why I said it had to be craftbukkit and not with all the things after it. And then, so there you have it. I'm going to save my changes to the 2048 with Control S and close out of that. Alright, then let's go to our folder. You'll see there's not much in it right now, no world files or anything. This start.bat, if we double click that, it will run. And since it's noticing that this is the first time it's ran, it will generate all these extra files you see popping up here. If you see a message about Java not being recognized as an internal or external command or something like that, That is probably because A, you don't have Java installed, or B, there's something wrong with your path variable, and I will go over how to fix that later, possibly in a different video. But do not panic. Once this finishes running commands, it will say done, and you'll see you have a lot of new files over here. We're going to type stop. This is very important. Never press the X on here. You could corrupt chunks on your game, or it might not save your new world saves at all. It's very important to type stop and then press enter. And then press any key and it'll close out of the window. One of those generated files will be called server.properties. If we edit this, you can see that there's a series of commands. Generating settings, allow nether, level name. Of course, it's pretty much all up to you. Server port, the default for Minecraft is 25565. I always like to leave all that the same. Like I said, you can go through here and change absolutely anything you want. PvP, you can make false if you don't want people killing each other. Maximum amount of players. That definitely depends on your RAM, in my opinion. If you have a ton of RAM, feel free to go as high as you want. If you don't have much RAM, don't allow that many people on at the same time or your server's going to crash. Spawn monsters if you want a peaceful world. Generate structures. This is in the initial world generation. So now that we've already generated the worlds over here, this won't do anything. This generates structures. So view distance, how far you can see, etc., etc., etc. Message of the day. That'll pop up in the server description when you're trying to connect to it. Okay, so if we save that, Control S and X out, those new settings will be saved. So start.bat from now on will always start your server. And sometimes it takes long, sometimes it doesn't take long. This only took 3.374 seconds to start. That's fairly short. The more plugins you add, the longer that time will get. Alright, so if you open up Minecraft, with this running in the background, do not close out of this. That's the actual server it's connecting to. Go to multiplayer, and then you can either do direct connect or add server, up to you. And I will direct connect to my what's called the loopback address, which essentially connects to your own computer. And then you can do :port number. If you don't put a port, it'll use the default, which is 25565. And if we join server, you will see that, voila, we are in our newly generated world. Of course, it's jungle. Why not? And you are now inside the server. I can talk, whatever I want to do. To have all the commands available to you, you will want to op yourself. And then you can execute a command with -help. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the server window here, unlike in-game, you do not put a / before commands. You just type them. So as you can see, that is now up and running. Now, how to get other people to connect to you involves a series of networking things, like knowing your IP address, and I will cover that in the next video. Thank you very much.